All right, she's the clerk who has thrown the whole legal world for a bit of a conundrum right now because Kim Davis, that Kentucky clerk who would not issue marriage licenses to gays, is out after spending 6 days in prison. Her lawyer joins me right now, Matt Staver. Mr. Staver, very good to have you.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Here's where I'm confused, and maybe you can help me. What was agreed to here that got her out of prison? Because I'm getting different takes on it. Will she be able to issue licenses, or is she out of the picture?
Well, there was nothing agreed to today, and there was nothing agreed to last Thursday. We're in the same situation. Nothing has been resolved. The judge, without any notice to us, incarcerated her, and today, without any notice to us, let her go.
So there was no deal. Wait, there was no deal made where her underlings or those who worked under her in the office would issue licenses to gays who wish to marry, or that she would not have to sign off on any of these personally. Any of that true? Was any of that offered, debated, approved? What?
No, none of that is true. None of it was offered. We've asked from the very beginning, and we did it last Thursday again. We still ask this, that her religious convictions be accommodated so that her name and her title and authority as the clerk of Rowan County be removed from the marriage certificate. That's a simple accommodation. The court could order that. The governor could issue an executive order, or the assembly in Kentucky could pass a law that addresses that. But nothing has changed since last Thursday.
Well, then how did they explain her release today?
It's just as befuddling as it was when he actually incarcerated her 6 days ago. There's no change. I don't know why he did it, but there's absolutely no change in the circumstances, and there's no change in Kim Davis's conscience.
All right, well, you're a lawyer, and I know you can't divulge confidences, but that doesn't make sense to me. I mean, he would not release her without the perception of at least a deal or an agreement in place, including the two scenarios I mentioned to you. So that never came up? No agreement, no quid pro quo came up at all?
Not at all. And
does she have her old job back?
She does have her old job back. She's going to return to her job later this week, but she will not violate her conscience. It is befuddling to you and probably many others who are viewing this. It's just as befuddling to us. The resolution is simple, but it's never been pursued by the court or by the governor or by the legislature. Of course, they'll have to come back in session to do it. But this could be an easy fix, and there's been absolutely no change, nothing offered, nothing different than there was last Thursday.
But she gets her old job back, so she still is in charge of issuing marriage licenses?
That's correct.
All right, so she could still disapprove or forbid two gays from marrying.
Well, and right now she's not issuing any licenses because the laws in Kentucky say that it's a crime to issue a license to somebody who's not authorized to have the license, and the laws have never been changed. So she's not issuing licenses at all.
Are her underlings, is it your understanding that her underlings, or the 5 or 6 who work for her under her, have the power to issue licenses to gays?
They have a power to issue licenses only with the authority of the clerk, and that's Kim Davis. But the problem is that if Kim Davis's name is on it and it's under her authority and title, whether she personally hands it out or whether a deputy clerk hands it out, it's the same thing. So there's no difference.
Wait a minute. If her name's not on it, if they go to her, I'm really not for these two getting married, but my name's not on this, you know how I feel, and the underling still approves the marriage license or grants it, it doesn't matter, right? It's done, right?
No, if it's President Barack Obama or the President of the United States, you know it's the same person, even though his name's not on a certificate. And if it's Kim Davis and or clerk of the Rowan County Court, it's Kim Davis. So it has to have her name and authority off of it. Just have it at the Commonwealth of Kentucky, for example, as an option.
But in other words, she goes back to her old job. Nothing changes. Now, you're a lawyer, and obviously a pretty good one. Now, you would think, Ms. David, the Supreme Court of the United States has ruled on this, and whether you personally like it or not, it is the law of the land.
Well, what
right?
the Supreme Court ruled on was the issue of marriage. They never addressed the issue of religious liberty accommodation. So she's only asking for her religious freedom to be accommodated.
But she's not a baker, or she's not someone who runs a pizza shop. She issues licenses for marriage that the Supreme Court has ruled gays should be entitled to. So that analogy really doesn't hold up, does it?
Oh, yeah, she doesn't lose her constitutional rights just because she runs for public office. Obviously, they're tempered.
This is but no, this isn't any public office. She issues marriage licenses.
No, but
and the
she is a
Supreme
public
Court has
official.
said that this is the law of the land and must be honored by those who are sworn into an office protected by the Constitution, right?
Well, no, the Supreme Court never addressed the religious liberty conflict, which they knew was coming. This is one of the first cases in the country with regards to a public official, and there's going to be lots of these. There's not going to be this Kim Davis case. There's going to be lots of these, and so this will have to be readdressed in each state.
So there's a possibility later this week that she could rule against a gay couple trying to get a license. She could be right back at the clink.
That is the possibility, because nothing has been resolved in these last 6 days.
Wow. All right. Matt Staver, I'm thoroughly confused, but thank you for taking the time. Matt Staver, Kim Davis's attorney, and if we were to read what he said essentially at face value, John Kasich is going to react, because John Kasich, the presidential candidate, says there has been a ruling of the Supreme Court, and he personally was not in favor of that ruling, that is Governor Kasich, but it is the law of the land. He would not interfere. What happens now? Kasich later. Stick around.